Alright, let's talk about stablecoins. Imagine you took a dollar or a euro and you made a digital copy of it. Not like a picture of a dollar, but a little digital token that lives on the internet and is always supposedly worth exactly $1. People like these things. They use them to zip money around the weird and wonderful world of crypto without having to deal with the wild price swings of, say, Bitcoin. If you want to buy something in crypto land, it's much easier to price it in something that feels like a dollar, instead of a thing whose value might double or halve by the time you've finished your coffee. It's the boring, sensible plumbing of a very not boring, not sensible financial system. So far so good. But the grown-ups are starting to get nervous. Specifically, the Bank of Italy, which is Italy's central bank and part of the big European club of central banks, has looked at this whole situation and decided that the time for just hoping for the best is over. On September 18, 2025, the mood is less, let 1,000 flowers bloom, and more who's in charge of watering these flowers, and are they even real flowers? The Bank of Italy published a paper, which is the polite, central banker way of clearing your throat very loudly in a quiet room. The paper basically says, we need rules for these stablecoins and we need them now. The main source of their heartburn isn't just that these digital dollars exist, it's how they exist. They point to two specific gremlins in the machine, cross-border activity, and something called multi-issuance. In simple terms, the money is moving across countries faster than the rules can keep up, and sometimes it's not even clear who is responsible for the digital token in your digital wallet. If you have a problem, who do you call? The guy in Portugal who wrote the code, the company in Ireland that holds the real money, the bank in Germany that processes the payments. When everyone is in charge, no one is. And that's the crux of it. The Bank of Italy, along with its bigger sibling, the European Central Bank, ECB, is worried that a big popular stablecoin could become so important that if it wobbled, it could shake the entire financial system. Think of it like a private company suddenly running its own version of the euro, but with its own private rules, its own private tech, and its own private list of who to call when things go wrong. Central bankers, whose entire job is to prevent financial wobbles, do not like the sound of that. They want a rulebook. A clear, simple, and, most importantly, enforceable one. The fun part is everyone agrees a rulebook is needed, they just can't quite agree on who should get to write it. Look, the name is pretty good marketing. Stablecoin. It sounds solid, dependable, maybe a little boring, and that's the point. A stablecoin is a type of cryptocurrency that tries to keep its value tied to something else. Usually a major currency like the US dollar euro. For every one digital coin floating around on the internet, the company that issued it is supposed to have one real dollar, one real euro, sitting in a very safe, very dull bank account somewhere. This pile of real money is called the reserve. It's the anchor that keeps the coin from floating away. So if you have 100 digital tokens of, let's call it Eurocoin, you should be able to go to the Eurocoin company and say, here are my 100 tokens, please give me my 100 real euros. This makes it incredibly useful for traders, because they can move in and out of riskier cryptocurrencies without having to constantly convert back to traditional money, which can be slow and expensive. It's like using casino chips instead of cash at the poker table. You know each chip is worth a set amount, and you can swap them back for real money when you're done playing for the night. It's a bridge between the old world of banking and the new world of crypto. The problem, of course, is that you have to trust the people running the casino. You have to trust that for every chip they've handed out, there's a corresponding dollar in the vault. What if there isn't? What if their reserve isn't all in cash but in other, slightly less safe things? Or what if a whole bunch of people show up at the cashier's cage at the same time, all wanting to cash out their chips at once? This is what regulators worry about. They want to be able to walk into the vault, count the money themselves, and make sure the casino has enough cash on hand to pay everyone back if there's a panic. This isn't just a theoretical worry. We've seen stablecoins depeg, meaning their value dropped below the $1 mark they were supposed to hold. This happens when people lose faith that the reserves are really there, and they rush to sell their tokens before everyone else does. It's a classic bank run, but happening at the speed of the internet. So while the idea is simple, a digital dollar, making sure it actually stays a digital dollar all the time for everyone is a fiendishly complicated task. And that's before we even get to the fun stuff, like what happens when you have multiple companies issuing the same coin. Meet the Bank of Italy. The Bank of Italy, or Banca d'Italia if you want to be fancy, is Italy's central bank. Think of it as the main financial guardian for the Italian economy. It tries to keep prices stable. It makes sure the banking system doesn't fall over. It manages the country's money. It's been around since 1893. World wars, financial crises. It's an old, serious institution that tends to worry about things that could break the plumbing of the financial system. And right now it's looking at stablecoins and seeing some leaky pipes. The Bank of Italy is not acting alone here. It's a key member of the Euro system, a team of central banks from Euro countries. The captain of this team is the European Central Bank, or ECB. The ECB's main job is to manage the euro and keep the financial system for the whole euro area safe and sound. So when the Bank of Italy speaks up about risks, it's not just a solo act. Their recent paper is essentially a memo to the rest of the team saying, "Hey everyone, are we paying enough attention to this?" Their specific worry is what happens when these newfangled digital currencies get really, really big. Right now, stablecoins are mostly used by crypto enthusiasts, but what if a huge tech company launched a stablecoin that millions of people started using for everyday payments? What if you started paying for your groceries or your rent with something called Global Coin? Suddenly, this private digital currency would be a critical part of the economy. If Global Coin's systems went down, or if people suddenly feared it wasn't backed by real money, the chaos could be immense. People might not be able to pay their bills. The panic could spill over into the real banking system. This is the kind of doomsday scenario that, keeps central bankers up at night. Their job is to be the ultimate backstop. Their job is to be the lender of last resort. Their job is to be the entity that guarantees the money in your bank account is actually money. But they can't guarantee a private stablecoin run by a company in another country with opaque rules. So the Bank of Italy is pushing for what it calls legal clarity. It wants a clear set of rules that says who is responsible for what, who holds the reserves, who supervises them, who do you call if your digital euros disappear. They believe that answering these questions before there's a crisis is, to put it mildly, a very good idea. Cross-border risk sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Imagine you live in Italy and you buy a stablecoin. Let's say it's called Stable Euro. The company that created Stable Euro might be based in Ireland. The real euros backing your digital ones might be held in a bank in Germany. The computer servers that process the transactions might be located in Finland. And the customer service call center might be in Portugal. This is a cross-border setup. The coin moves seamlessly across national lines, which is one of its biggest selling points. It's fast and global. But this is also its biggest headache for regulators. The main problem is that every country has its own set of rules, its own supervisors, and its own way of doing things. The banking regulator in Germany might have one set of standards for how cash reserves should be held, while the Irish regulator has slightly different ones for the company's operations. If something goes wrong, who is in charge of fixing it? Is it the German authorities because that's where the money is? Or the Irish authorities because that's where the company is headquartered? Or the Italian authorities because that's where you, the customer, are? This confusion can lead to dangerous delays when a quick response is needed. Let's play this out. Suppose there's a massive cyber attack on the Stable Euro network, and transactions are frozen. People in Italy can't access their digital money. People in Spain can't access their digital money. People in France can't access their digital money. They panic. They all try to cash out at once. But the company in Ireland needs to coordinate with the bank in Germany to release the funds. The German bank, seeing a massive and unusual outflow request, might pause the transaction to check for fraud, following its own national procedures. Meanwhile, regulators in 5 different countries are all trying to figure out what's happening, who's responsible, and what they are legally allowed to do. Each step adds time, and in a financial panic, time is everything. This isn't just about a system crash. It's also about operational risk, the risk of human error, fraud, or system failure. Different time zones can mean that the team in Finland that can fix a server issue has gone home for the day, just as a problem crops up in Italy. Different legal systems can make it incredibly difficult to recover funds if they are lost or stolen. A stablecoin that operates across many borders creates a patchwork of jurisdictions, and risks can easily fall through the cracks between them. The Bank of Italy's argument is that you need a single unified rulebook that applies everywhere in the EU, so that it doesn't matter where the company, the bank, or the server is located. Section 5Q, and what on earth is multi-issuance? Okay, so we've got cross-border risk. Now let's add another layer of fun, multi-issuance. Normally you think of one company issuing one coin. The Tether token is issued by a company called Tether. But multi-issuance is where one brand is issued by multiple companies in different places. Visual flowchart. One stable euro brand at the top, arrows to issuer A, France, issuer B, Germany, issuer C, Ireland, each with its own reserve box. It's like if Coca-Cola were licensed out to hundreds of independent bottlers, each using a slightly different recipe and different water sources. Imagine you buy 100 stable euros in France. Those tokens were issued by a French fintech. Your friend buys 100 in Germany, her tokens were issued by a German bank.